Hey, my name is DeYoung, member of the Howard County Library Systems Teen Advisory Board, and today I'm with the CHS Pioneers, a student-led coding club, to teach you how to program in Java. This is going to be a video series, and I hope you can watch it and learn a lot about Java, so let's get started. So, this is our agenda. We're going to go over what is programming. I'm going to introduce to you Java. I'm going to also help you download Eclipse, which is what we're going to use to program Java on, and I'm also going to talk about printing. And printing is what you use to basically output to a console, which again I'll talk about later. So what is programming? Programming is a process of telling a computer what to do by giving it certain instructions, right? So if I were to ask a computer, hey, can you, I don't know, like, open this app for me? It'll, like, you know, go through all the instructions and then open that app for me, right? So that's that's basically what a program is. And the collections of all these instructions is what we call a program. So there can be individual instructions, such as like, you know, open up desktop, click the icon, wait, like all these like instructions. So the compilation of all those instructions is what we call a program. And there are obviously multiple languages, some like Java, which I'm teaching you right now. There's Python, C++, and many others that I already listed here, and there's so much more than that, but those are like the prominent ones. But today, we're learning Java. So Java is a very, very popular programming language, and it's consistently at the top 3 of all the programming languages recommended. And it has a lot of uses. So one use is games. So if you know Minecraft, which I'm sure everybody knows, that's basically primarily written in Java. So if you want to learn how to mod Minecraft or all that, you want to probably learn Java. Amazon, eBay, all those, their services also use Java because it's a very nice object-oriented language. Which we'll talk about in a future video. And like robots use it too, like the Maestro Mars rover controller. They use Java in their code or in their robot to actually control the rover, which is pretty cool. Also, a big thing that I didn't mention here, and I wanted to mention now, is desktop apps or mobile apps. So Java, you can actually make a lot of apps, like desktop apps using Java. And that's another primary use of Java. And also, it's taught by schools in Howard County. Chances are, if you are watching this video, you're probably from Howard County, so might as well learn Java earlier so you can actually apply it later on. So let's get started. So we're going to first download Eclipse, which is an IDE. And IDEs are what we call Integrated Development Environments, and basically those are an application or applications that provides necessary tools for program development, testing, and more. And there are different IDEs for different languages. But for Java, the most popular ones are Eclipse, NetBeans, and IntelliJ IDEA, or IDEA, however you want to pronounce it. But for now, we're going to be using Eclipse. And that's also what Howard County schools use, so it's probably just convenient. So let's first go ahead and download Eclipse. So in order to download Eclipse, you want to first get the JDK, which is a Java Development Kit. And basically, this is what's going to run Java on your computer. So you need to first download this, and if you go to the link in the slide, which is this one, you're going to be sent to this page. And there are going to be a lot of versions for Java Standard Editions, but you want to download the one at the top, which is probably the newest one. So you're going to click JDK Download. If you click this, it should, you know, load you to another page. And then from here, you can also find what OS you're on, and if you're on like a Windows, you can, you know, look at the Windows 64 installer. If you're on a Mac like myself, you can look at the Mac, and if you're using Linux, then you can, you know, take a look at these. So that's how you basically download Java. And then after you're done downloading Java, then you want to move on to this Eclipse installer. So you go here, and then, so you're gonna, that link is gonna basically take you here. And then once you're here, you're gonna click download this, whatever number that is. And then it's gonna give you your OS specific download version. So I'm running on a Mac, that's why it's giving me Mac 64 DMG. For you guys, if you're running on Windows, it's gonna say something along the lines of like Windows, whatever. So yeah, just click this download button, and it should install Eclipse for you. And then once it's installed, open it up, go through all the installation instructions, and you should have Eclipse ready to go on your computer. So now that's done, let's move on with our slides. So yeah, that's basically how you download Eclipse. And once you download Eclipse, before you open up any project or start to code, you're gonna have to go through a lot of configurations, as in like settings. So you need to actually set all the settings, and I recommend just, you know, going to the default ones because, you know, Eclipse is smart enough, so just do default for a lot of them. It's going to also ask you to set a workspace and all that. Just use a default workspace. you're only gonna need to worry about those if you're gonna like actually use Java like in work. So yeah, let's actually start printing. So this is our first lines of code that we're ever gonna write. So let's go to Eclipse, which I already have opened up for myself. So I'm gonna head over to Eclipse. So once you have Eclipse open, once you have Eclipse open, it's gonna look something like this, right? So obviously yours is not gonna be the same as mine because, well, these all the stuff in the side here I use for my school projects. You haven't probably used Java for a school project for watching the video. So what you want to do here is right click on this package explorer somewhere anywhere here, and if you right click you get these options. You want to press new, and then you're going to do Java project, and then once you do that, it should give you an option to name your project. So I'm going to name it my first. You can name it whatever you want to, but that's basically what I'm going to name it. And then it should give you all the default settings, and then I'm gonna, or actually, it's being weird. Let me change it. Let me change the name up. I'm just gonna say first project. There you go. So all the default settings, you should probably want to keep it. For you, it should say 16 if you're watching this right after it's released, because that's the newest Java version. For me, the newest one I downloaded was 15, so that's what I'm gonna use. But keep all the default stuff and just press finish. And that should actually open up a Java project for you. It's gonna take a little bit because my computer is slow, and then it's gonna ask you to create a module. I usually don't need it, so I'm just gonna say don't create. But if you end up needing the module, you can go ahead and create it. I don't even know what it does. So once you open up this folder here, you're gonna see two things. You're gonna see this JRE system library, and then you're gonna see the SRC. Don't worry about the JRE system library. I never worry about it really. The only thing that you're gonna worry about is the SRC file. From here, you're gonna right click, new, and then you're gonna make a new class. So once you do that, you're gonna name it again. So I'm gonna do, I'm gonna name it code. You can name it whatever you want to, preferably something that's actually meaningful. But for now, since this is like a tutorial, I'm just gonna name it whatever. All right, just code. So you should get something like this. Now, I'm gonna type a few lines of code that you might not understand, but I promise this will all be explained in a future video. So just sit back, relax, and watch me type and follow along. And again, you're not gonna understand it, but it's fine. We'll explain it later. So what I want you to type is public static void main string args, and then a curly bracket. So you should have this, and now you're basically ready to go. Again, it's confusing at first, don't worry, I was confused too, but we'll explain it in a future video, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so after this, we're gonna just go ahead and print. So let's go back to our slides. So printing can be used to write in the console. Now if you go back to Eclipse, right, there's like a lot of stuff here, but then at the bottom area, you can see we have a console, right, this little area here, and that's what the console is. And basically, printing can be used to write in that area. So as you can see here in this code, after I ran it, there was like stuff displayed down here. Basically the syntax, or how you write the code, or how to write it, is going to be system with a capital S, period, out, period, print, parentheses, quotation marks, and whatever you want to put in there, closing quotation marks, closing parentheses, and then semicolon. And I know this is a lot of like, weird punctuation stuff, but just stick with me here. It's basically required. And there are two different ways to print. One is just regular print, which you see here, and then another one is print line, abbreviated by print ln, or print line, as I like to call it. So print just prints it. So you have a cursor, right? Like when you're typing, you have a cursor that just moves like this. So imagine that for print, the cursor will start where you left off, and it's gonna just print, and the cursor is gonna be just left at wherever it stops printing. But for print line, what's going to happen is the cursor is going to start that where you last left off, which is the same as print. So it's going to print whatever, and then after it's done printing whatever, it's going to make a new line. So it's going to move on to the next line, like so. So only difference is that print line adds an extra line afterwards, right? So that's the only difference. So basically, you can see here when we do system.out.print hello world, it just prints it, right? And the cursor ends to the right of the exclamation point. And then when we do print line, it starts printing when we left off, which is to the right of the exclamation point. So it doesn't make a new line there because we didn't do print line earlier. So it's just gonna go Java is cool, which is what we wanted to print, right? And then the print line actually takes effect. So we're going to print a new line, so the cursor is going to move down here. Now this is where the cursor is going to leave off when we have a next print statement. And then you can see here we have system.out.print Java is nice. So then from here we print Java is nice, and then the cursor leaves off at the right, to the right of the exclamation, or to the right of the E, because nice ends in E. And also it's important to use those quotation marks and the semicolon there. You might forget about it a lot. I certainly did. But yeah, you're gonna get used to it while when you code more. But just keep that in mind. It is required. Just because Java needs to compile the code, which means Java reads through all the code and interprets it to like what your computer can actually run. And without the quotation marks and semicolons, Java won't be able to do that. And here's a quick exercise. So I want you guys to print the following using print line and print. So I want you guys to print Java is a cool programming language, and on the next line, and I know how to print now. So I encourage you to pause the video and try it for yourself. And now I'm going to go over the solution. Hopefully you pause the video and try it for yourself. And here's the solution. So basically we're going to print line, Java is cool programming language, because we wanted to print and then have the cursor go on to the next line like so. And then from there, from the next line, we just go and print, and I know how to print now. And that's basically the gist. There are other things called escape characters, which we'll talk about in a future video. You can also use those, but in this scenario, we just wanted to use print and print line. This is the most fundamental, not fundamental, but this is like the most basic thing you can do with code. It's every beginner's first line of code. It's print hello world, and we just did that. So good job, guys. You guys just wrote your first line of code. So yeah, thanks for watching. I encourage you to watch it for future videos. We have a whole series to come. And you should probably watch through all those if you want to learn Java. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, which is at chspyoneers. Visit our website at the link, and email us for questions. I promise we actually respond to your questions, so if you email us any questions that you have, I'll be glad to answer them. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and have a great day. Goodbye.